Alright then, we're deep diving here, so we're not about to spend half an hour finding out how to do 50 types of install. But I do want the course to be as useful as possible to as many of you as possible. So to help make it a bit of a one-stop shop for those of you who want to go from zero to Docker in a single course, we will take a look at a few installs. But the emphasis is going to be on doing this quickly, right? If you need more, there's always the docs, and of course Google's your friend. Anyway, this is what we'll do. Play with Docker. Without doubt, my favourite way to get my hands on Docker. We'll do Docker for Mac and Docker for Windows, then we'll do a Windows Server install, and then a Linux install. Then once we're done with that, we are cracking on with the proper learning. So let's do it. Okay, play with Docker. I cannot tell you how much I love this. In fact, I don't know what I'd do without it these days. So you point your browser at playwithdocker.com, hit login here, and then start, and we're in. We then just start adding instances here. And you know what? You can add a bunch. Okay, it looks a bit better with a decent resolution, but never mind, right? This is it. It's a playground. And each one of these nodes is a fully fledged Docker node. So we've got 3 here, right? And they can talk to each other, they can be clustered, whatever. For real, right? Fire up your browser and just start adding instances. We're playing with Docker. I just don't know what there is about this that is not to like. Okay, a couple of points to note are the timer up here, right? Right now you only get 4 hours of playtime. Definitely keep that in mind. This is not for production, right? And then there's the version here as well, right? You can't really control that. But you know what? If you need a quick playground to mess around with something, this is as good as it gets. So that's Play with Docker. I love it. Okay, Docker for Mac and Docker for Windows. These are a couple of really slick developer-focused tools from Docker Inc. The big idea being to get you a slick development environment on your Mac or your Windows 10 laptop. No joke, right? Installation is a breeze, and I'm not about to show you some kind of next install. Just go to docker.com, hit Get Docker up here, and then click either of these. Then it's just a case of following the breadcrumbs till you get a download link. After that, it really is next. And you know what? Before you know it, you've got Docker on your laptop. So I've got it here on my Windows machine that I'm doing this session on. And we can see here, right? Look, it's fully integrated into the Windows experience. Same goes for Mac, right? Open a terminal and just whack in Docker commands. As well as that, right, you get this kind of little GUI experience. I mean, look, we can see my repos here, any swarms that I've got in Docker Cloud, you name it, right? The idea, right, is bringing that Docker experience to your laptop so you can develop locally, but then integrate seamlessly to the wider ecosystem. In fact, the version on my Mac's got Kubernetes integrations as well. These will come to Windows soon. But a couple of things I do want you to note, right? First up, they're both about a local development environment. This is not production grade stuff, right? All you get is a single instance of the Docker engine, no HA, nothing like that. Also, right, on Docker for Mac, you're getting Linux containers because everything's implemented in the background via a lightweight Linux VM. So that means all the integrations like the command line and stuff are all talking to Docker running inside of a Linux VM somewhere in the background. So don't be fooled, right? Just because it's Docker for Mac running on your Mac, you're still getting Linux containers. Windows is a bit different, right? That can do native Win32 containers or it can do Linux containers. And it lets you flip between the two, though of course your apps can't, right? Those are going to be either Linux or Windows. Check the docs though, or maybe my Getting Started with Docker course for more detail. For us though, right, that's Docker for Mac and Docker for Windows, a smooth local development experience. Alright then, Docker on Windows. What we're going to do here is show you a quick install on a Windows Server 2016 machine. And unlike what we just saw with Docker for Windows, this definitely can be production grade. Anyway, I've got a brand new Windows Server 2016 machine here, and it's got the Windows Containers feature pre-installed. And that's important, right? If you've not got Windows Containers installed, install it now. If you need the details, that's over in my Getting Started with Docker course. Anyway, guess what? This has already got Docker installed. Yeah, you know what? I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I don't know, how old is that? It's like a dinosaur. So let's update it. And what we'll do here, right, will work if you're doing a clean install or updating an existing version. And yeah, of course, there's other ways to do this, but what we're showing here will get you started. Anyway, as long as you've got the Windows Containers feature installed, these two commands here are all you're gonna need. So let's have that first one. Just give it a second. And then we'll have this one. And give that a second as well. And look, it's done, right? So if we run this again, okay, client and server both updated. And the EE bit here, this little bit here, that means Enterprise Edition. So you're getting the full-on Enterprise Edition with Windows. But that's it, right? That's Docker installed on Windows Server. Easy. Now then, Docker started on Linux, so it's only right that the Linux install should be the easiest. But before I go any further, there are of course a million ways to install Docker on like a million different flavors of Linux, and I'm just showing you one, a scripted install on a clean installation of Ubuntu Linux. So here's my Linux box, right, Ubuntu 16.04. I take this command here, and I run it. That's it. Basically, the command's running a script from docker.com and piping it through a shell. Let me speed it up a bit. Okay, that is it. Docker installed. Then I just grab this little command here, put my user onto the end, and we're ready to go. That's just added my user account to the local Unix Docker group, so I can run Docker commands without using sudo. But look, right, we have got Docker. Hey. Now, remember, this was just one way to install Docker on Ubuntu Linux. There's a zillion other ways on a million Linuxes, right? And for those, the docs are your friend. Really, installing is easy these days. And that's us done with installs. Short and sweet. Time to crack on with the good stuff. So coming up next, oh yeah, a masterclass on architecture and theory. Get your pencils out.